everyone, it's Mama Horlord back again with some more spooky stories. You know how I love the ghost stories. I really enjoyed reading the last ones, and I'm hoping to just be able to juices out of myself some more with these ones. Okay, let's jump right on into it. We've got some more r/paranormal encounter stories. This one is from Chatpillier. Weird encounter as a kid in the school's old building. Oh, those are always haunted. There's always something in those freaking old school buildings. Creepy stuff every time. Hi, I just wanted to share one of the few paranormal encounters I've had in my life. I'm now 36 years old, but this happened when I was around 8. I went to a very small countryside school in northern France. I don't know why I had to say it like that, I just did. My parents had just gotten a divorce, and my mom was one of only 3 teachers in that school. Since she worked there, I had to come to school even during summer vacation, at least part of it. Oh, that sucks. That's not cool. I don't remember much about the schedule, but I know that we played games outside as well as board games in an old building that was used at some point for live-in teachers. Don't know if that's how you say it in English, but basically the director at some point had quarters in this school. This old building couldn't usually be entered, had barely any lights, and was only used during summer to protect kids from the heat while they played card and board games. Okay, so I know why you're there, because you said your mom worked at the school. But why are all the other kids there? Is it like a summer daycare program? What's going on there? Do you just go to school during the summer? I mean, I'm in the US, and most of the schools kind of go between like August to May-ish. I really want to go to school during the summer if we're going to summer school to make up stuff or something. Alrighty. We could only use the main room, old living room, on the ground floor to play. I think there was also an old kitchen and an old washroom, but I don't have any memory of those. What interests us here is the floor above. Floor above. If I'm not mistaken, there was also an attic, but I don't remember it well enough. Let's forget about it and only focus on the first floor. So we're focusing on the first floor, not the ground floor, which could only be accessed from the old living room using very, very old stairs. That's... Don't fall through. It had a few rooms, an old bedroom, a weird room that was apparently a pigeon loft, very tall with open holes for birds to fly through, Hedwig, and lots of places for birds to rest. It's a freaking owlery. And another room filled to the brim with shelves. Library. I love libraries. Sorry, it doesn't sound like there's any books in that library, but that'd be cool. FYI, I only went to that floor twice, never entered the bedroom, and only saw the pigeon loft a bit, and only entered the storage room once. Why? Well, here's where the content actually is. After playing board games for a while with a small number of children in the room, less than 10, all children I knew rather well, the only adult in the room had to leave and go outside. I don't remember why, but before leaving, he asked some of us to clean everything and put the games in the storage room. Only a couple children had ever gone there. One of them, Alan, I knew pretty well. He had lost his parents and had been adopted not long ago. I was in his grade until I skilled a grade. We weren't best friends and sometimes fought a bit, but we're still pretty close. So I mean, that's average friendship. So we cleaned everything, and 4 of us followed Alan to the storage room. We were careful since the floor and stairs were all wooden and it creaked pretty bad. It also sounds like it's really old and really dangerous. I wouldn't want to go up there. We entered the storage room, and as described before, it was filled to the brim with shelves. There was dust everywhere, and it was badly lit. With a bird's view, you could see the room with a few rows of shelves, which you could only access by going right of each row. The left side was against the wall of the room. Alan didn't know where all the games had been taken from, so we split and tried to find other games. or a big empty space on the shelves. I wasn't holding anything, just trying to look for where to put the games. So I'd say look for the big, like, area that isn't dusty. Because, you know, there's, whenever you take something out of somewhere dusty, it's always, like, square, like, perfect, non-dusty area. So I'd go for there. I only remember one thing on those shelves. A big green Halloween mask. You know, Goosebumps haunted mask? Well, it kind of like this. And it seemed to ooze from the mouth and was put on one of the top shelves in the back of the room. Oh, that's not... I don't like that. Don't like it. I've always been kind of a scaredy cat, so it frightened me. Well, yeah. I called another kid who was close by, and he got scared as well. Hey! Hey, I'm really freaked out and creeped out. You want to come look at this thing? It's scaring me. Come on, come look at it. Come look at it. It's terrifying. It's like when you're like going through the fridge and you find something, and it's like you're like, oh, this is awful. This smells like here. You have to smell it. It smells so bad. It's kind of like, it's so scary. You have to see it. I must share my nightmares with you. The masks seem to gaze at us and follow us. It's like one of those paintings. It's just no matter where you go, it follows you with its eyes. We heard Alan say that he found the spot to put the games. Then we called the other kids to show them the mask. Let's creep out more people. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. As soon as they got close to us, the mask rotated to the side and started moving behind the shelves to the right side of the room. It wasn't on the shelves. It now seemed to be behind them. Just here's the shelves, and they're just... Nope. Do not want, nope. Obviously, we all screamed, ran downstairs. Oh, sorry. That was me running. Ran downstairs and told the remaining kids what we saw, keeping an eye on the stairs. The adult that had gone outside came back and laughed at us, but still went upstairs to look at it. He soon came back and told us there was nothing. No monster, no mask. It just disappeared, and it just ran away. And who knows where it is now? Where is it? I don't know. It's not in the storage room anymore. I didn't like that. I told my mom later, and I reluctantly went with her upstairs. I didn't enter the storage room, but she told me there was nothing. We discussed this with the other kids for a bit. Then we stopped. The last weird thing about the story is that when I talked with the other kids about this a few months later, they had forgotten about this. My mom didn't though, so it actually happened, but out of the 5 kids that went to the storage room, it seems I'm the only one who still remembers it. Okay, so at least you're the only one who's traumatized. Everyone else isn't equally traumatized. That's nice. That's cool. Yeah, that's terrible. That sounds awful. I'm so sorry. That sounds... Oh, I don't like that. Oh my god. Oh, this person... Redheaded Doom. Ah, I like this. I like them already. Commented, very cool story. Do you know any of the local folklore involving anything that looks like that? Maybe cross post to cryptids to see if anyone else has experienced anything like this. They said, thanks. OP says, thanks. I don't know anything that looks like this. The weirdest part is that it resembles Goosebumps haunted mask, but since we kind of have proofs, I didn't make this up due to other people being involved at the time. I just can't tell myself I imagined it based on the book, which I don't think I had read yet. Also, it wasn't an adult pranking us. There was only one way in, and until my mother and I left the school, no other adult left that building. And this person goes, well, somewhat damaged goes, well, I remember seeing Sinbad and Shazam, but apparently that never happened either. And OP says, memory is a tricky thing for sure, but my mom remembers the ruckus at school and the kids talking about this. Also, I was never kind of the kid to prank others with this kind of stuff. I've always had the faint connection to the unexplained. Not that I've ever dived into it though. I'd rather not. Precog dreams, ghostly presence, that kind of stuff. So I know it's not something to mess with. Okay, good. You know, it's not something to mess with. That's good. That's good. That just sounds awful. That would be haunting my dreams for a long time if I saw that, I'm not gonna lie. When I saw that, like, I read that book, but when I saw the episode, when they had, like, the old Goosebumps TV show, yes, I'm old, deal with it, when they had the old Goosebumps TV show, I saw that episode, that mask was terrifying. I'm pretty sure that I had nightmares after that. So just imagining that, but, like, something is coming out of its mouth, like, foaming at the mouth, and just moving behind some bookshelves in this old, dusty library. Nope. Do not want. No, thank you. Next. That thing in the forest. That thing in the forest. Adorable distance 15. Hold on, sorry, I gotta shift. Gotta get comfy. Adorable Distance 15 says, the thing in the forest. Hello, everyone. This is not my story. This is a story told by the stepfather of a good friend of mine. This is his words. Okay, so well, now it's coming from me, so it's third hand. So the second hand to me, third hand to you. My story is about a scary experience I had about 15 years ago while exploring Canada that made me feel like I was crazy. When I was 30 years old, I went on a trip alone to explore the boreal forest in Canada and Alaska. Oh, that sounds nice. I went alone to try and find myself again after going through some very stressful circumstances, but that's a different story and does have a connection to what happened during my trip. I had planned this trip for close to a year and spent a lot of money to ensure this trip was what I wanted. It cost close to $70,000 for just over 6 months, which was actually cheap for what I wanted to do. I planned this trip to be a solo, secluded adventure as much as I could to explore the northern remote Alaska and the territories of Canada, which included a 4-week camping trip, which is where the scary story begins. Isn't that how people disappear? You know, they go hiking and backpacking through the mountains and forests themselves, and then they just don't come back because they went alone. And yeah, that sounds like a terrible idea. It sounds fun. Don't get me wrong, it sounds fun. When I was younger, I would have loved to have done it, but it doesn't sound like a good idea at the same time. I hired some of the Indigenous people to help with my plans. They were very kind and offered me many options to satisfy my requests. One of the options they recommended really stood out. However, I did have to allow company for most of the first 3 months of my trip, but the camping trip would be 100% solo. It sounded amazing, so I agreed. I would start in Point Hope, Alaska, and make my way across to northern Ontario. The trip would start off by mostly dog sledding, that sounds fun, snowmobiling, also sounds fun, other snow vehicles, and flying where it wasn't feasible to travel by land. That sounds less fun. It's usually those little puddle jumper planes that are like gonna fall apart at any minute. Let's just stick to the snowmobiling and the skiing and dog sledding. Dog sledding sounds so much fun. I would mostly hunt and fish for food, create fires, and cook what I caught. Okay, very self-sufficient. I like that. But I also brought plenty of survival food. Smart. And this is why I agreed with the company. They were guides who knew the terrain and how to navigate it safely. They shared some food they brought with them, like bannock and dried meats like deer, moose, and elk. We would camp out along the way or stay in yurts, sometimes even motels in small towns. Small town motels creep me out. They told me stories about tales from their culture passed down by many generations. Oh, that would have been fascinating. I love listening to oral histories. And I ended up enjoying their company. The trip was amazing. I saw so much wildlife, and the scenery was amazing, especially the sky. I had never really seen northern lights like this before, and the crackling was something I didn't know they did. They crackle? They crackle? Dude, that sounds so cool. That sounds really awesome. They were bright, and with how clear I saw the Milky Way, it gave me a sense of peace. Now that I can attest to. I lived out in a really small town for a long time, and you could see the Milky Way, you could see every star in the sky, and it was so gorgeous, and just, it fills you with peace. It's very nice. I love it. I miss it. I saw a pack of wolves take down a moose. Dang. Owls, eagles, foxes, and even polar bears, which made my guides a bit nervous, though they did have a firearm for emergencies. We laughed and had a few drinks, cooked beef, hog, and fish, and had a blast. It was an amazing experience. Okay, sounds awesome. Not ghosty yet, but sounds honestly like a super amazing experience. I'm super jealous. They guided my journey until we got to Fort Severn, where we would rest for the day. From there, we would part ways, and I would travel alone. This is where my trip turns into my most horrifying experience. Oh, now we're getting into it. The next morning, I gathered my things, bought a bit of food, and headed out. Okay, gotta take a second to get a drink and prep for this. Let's prepare. All right, I planned to head deep into the Ontario Boreal Forest alone. I had previously pinned a location deep in the forest on my GPS to travel. I wasn't 100% sure I could make it, but that was part of the challenge. I traveled on foot for 10 hours straight during the day and slept at night in a hammock. Dude, I would need to take a nap somewhere in the middle there. 10 hours just walking, just hiking through the forests. I would need a nap. But I'm a lazy person. I like my naps. It wasn't easy by any means. The forest was dense and hard to tread through, but I was determined. Everything was fine the first 2 days. I managed to cover about 20 kilometers. Cool. But on the third morning, I had an eerie feeling. That morning, some of my stuff was scattered around, but I just told myself it was probably some animals trying to get at the food I hung in a tree. But the weird thing was, I didn't hear anything during the night. Well, hopefully you were asleep. But yeah, it was very quiet. No noises of animals or insects. I don't like that. When animals get really quiet or they get really loud, those are both warning signs that shit's gonna hit the fan and you shouldn't. No. Don't like it. It didn't occur to me that anything was wrong. Really? Yeah, no, there's something wrong. When everything goes quiet, there's something wrong. Forests are not supposed to be that quiet. So I gathered my things, ate, and then headed out again. It started to get dark, so I decided to find a good place to sleep for the night. Once I did, I set up camp. This time, everything that wasn't essential was hung in the tree. I lit a fire, made some food, and just enjoyed the scenery as the sun set. Then, once it got really dark, I heard something. It sounded like a very familiar voice of someone calling for help in a little girl's voice. "Help me, I'm lost." That voice almost made me cry. It would make me shit myself. And it was extremely unnerving. Again, I would shit myself. Okay. Brown pants. Just everywhere. Not okay. I looked around the best I could, but at that point it was pitch black, and my line of sight was probably about 10 feet. I nervously called out, "Sherry, are you okay? Can you see my fire?" "Who's Sherry?" "Who's Sherry? Why is Sherry? What?" Then again I heard, "Help me." Oh, the voice changed a little. It was deeper. Now the hairs on the back of my neck raised, and a sudden sense of danger no crap, it's overwhelming me, and I'm not even there. This sounds like one of those. It starts with a W, it ends in go. I don't really want to say the word. You're not supposed to say it, but it mimics. And yeah, I don't like it. I took out my flashlight and looked around more thoroughly, and that's when I saw it. A figure hunched over within the trees, arms fully stretched out to the side with its fingers spread out in an unnatural manner, eyes glowing. It had an oversized mouth and very wide and smiling. Nope. Nope. I just stood there trying to comprehend what the fuck I was seeing until its head rotated upside down and it collapsed to the ground, then started crawling really fast towards me. Nope. Nope. That's not good. That's not, nope. Nope. I don't want to. Don't make me do it. I heard bones snapping. I don't know what I was thinking, but I heard a whisper, "Run!" So I bolted. I left everything I had there except the flashlight in my hand and a bit of emergency dried food I had in my pouch. I ran as fast as I could and didn't stop, but I heard it pursuing me and calling me, telling me to stop in what sounded like my wife. Is that Sherry? Where is your wife? Is your wife passed? Is your wife at home? What? Why would you think it's your wife? I don't like that. I kept hearing, "Please stop, I'm scared." Nope. But I ran anyway, smart man. I don't know how I managed to navigate through the forest, but I did end up falling down a small hill into a wet mud pit and just laid there. I heard my wife calling me, Sherry asking me where I was, or saying she was scared, a cell phone ringing to my wife's tone, weird chattering noises, a voice saying, "I'm hungry, where are you?" growling, and lots of footsteps all over the place. Hi, Kitty. Kitty's here to protect me. Good kitty. Good Lily. Lily is protecting me. But I was so petrified, I just laid there, paralyzed with fear like I had never felt before. The mud pit ended up being my saving grace because after what seemed like an eternity, the voices stopped and I heard the sound of morning birds and the sun began to rise. I waited until it was fully light out and crawled out of the pit. I gathered my head and checked what I had. A bit of water, a couple of bars of food, and thankfully, my GPS. I managed to navigate to a country road. It took me another 5 days, staying in ditches at night along the road while this thing was trying to hunt me. Oh, it's still there, taunting me with every trick it had up its sleeve. I think the mud made it lose track of me. Oh, like in The Predator, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah. During the day, I would navigate towards the closest town. Along the way, I managed to get to a highway where I saw one lone semi-truck traveling towards the town. I flagged it down. The guy, an older gentleman driving, looked and asked if I was okay. All I said was, "I've been lost for over a week straight and running from some animals." He looked at me and said, "You were lucky." The man told me a story about his father who went hunting in these forests. He said he wouldn't talk about what happened except that the forest was haunted. Whatever his brother experienced scared him enough that he never went hunting again. I ended up telling him what happened. The guy's face went pale, and we were silent for the rest of the ride. Yeah, he drove me to Kenora, where he let me stay at his place for the night. In the morning, his brother came by. He and the old man talked. The old man's name was Steve, and his brother is Jim. Jim looked back at me, eyes wide open. Yeah, I nodded back at him. We both shared our stories. What I described was exactly what he saw. I ended up staying in Kenora, and we all became pretty good friends. But Steve died about 3 months after this. He was 63. His brother and I stayed friends about 2 years, until he died of liver failure because he was an alcoholic. I tried my best to get him to stop drinking, but the nightmares kept him reliving that experience. I had them too, so I understood he needed an element to escape. I too became an alcoholic. The nightmares were just too much. He was only 35 when he passed. His friendship meant a lot to me. Afterwards, about another year, I moved to Winnipeg and tried to get my life back in order. I joined AA and got clean. This is where I met my current friends. I told my story at a meeting. I started with, "I don't care if you think I'm crazy." So that's my story. I am not the best writer, so my apologies if this isn't written all that great. Are you kidding me? I felt that. I felt your fear, okay? You wrote it well enough? You wrote it well enough for me to feel your freaking fear. I was running too. I was hearing those voices. I was scared. It was written very well. I liked it. I enjoyed it and was afraid and am terrified for you. And oh, context. Some backstory. I love backstory. Sherry was my daughter. She was 5 but got cancer and lost the battle. That's my worst fear. Something happening to my kids. She died 4 months after her diagnosis. My wife couldn't take the pain and ended up hanging herself 6 months after Sherry died. Holy crap. I knew they weren't around. I knew there was something going on with that. It was her voice that told me to run. After their deaths, I was destroyed so much that I planned this trip not to find myself. What I really meant was that I planned this trip for me to also commit suicide. I was going to hang myself deep in the forest to rot, because that's how I felt inside, rotten. I used my entire life savings to plan this trip because I had no intention to come back. I think back to this day many times. It made me reconsider taking my life, and I went to therapy. I am still working towards coming to terms with my past, but things are much better now. Oh wow, that's a lot. I'm so sorry that happened to you. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. That is losing your child and then your partner and then wanting to follow yourself only to have this terrifying event stop you. This terrifying event change everything for you. That's amazing and terrifying and holy crap. That's intense. And I also I want to take a moment to just say if you're going through anything, if you're in a dark place like he was, if you're hurting, or you know anyone who is hurting, I've been there. It's a very dark pit to try to climb out of. I understand completely, but please climb out of it, because you're not done here yet. And please find someone to talk to, reach out, get some help. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna post the suicide hotline number on here as well, and just know that you can get out. You can get out of that hole. We'll throw down a ladder for you and we'll help you out. There are people out there who love you and you mean the world to them. Please don't get to the point where you have to have a psychotic, crazy paranormal entity help you reconsider your unsubscribing from life. Try to just find some more help before that. And that's gonna go ahead. We're gonna wrap that up right here. If you like these stories, go ahead and hit a like. If you like this episode, hit a like. I know it was very heavy and very terrifying, but go ahead and drop us a little like, and if you want to hear more, hit subscribe. I will be doing some other stuff too. It won't just be paranormal. I love stories of all kinds. I actually went ahead and created a subreddit. It's called r/Mama Horlord. Go ahead and bring me your stories there. I would love to read them. I would love for us to just sit here and chat about them, share our experiences, our feelings, our beliefs, whatever you got, bring it to me. Hit subscribe. Stick with me. I don't plan on going anywhere. Alright. Stay wonderful.